You've got 15 minutes. We've got go-to-market strategy and real talk. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Mandy. This is Your Future Biz Unfiltered, the podcast for founders and go-to-market leaders who want to scale smarter and stay sane while doing it.
Each short episode includes a tactical takeaway, from ICPs to poopy pipelines to LinkedIn DMs that don't suck.
In other words, this isn't your podcast ran by sales bros in Patagonia vests. This is Your Future Biz Unfiltered.
Too many founders get caught measuring what looks good instead of what actually moves the business forward. Likes aren't leads. Going viral is not pipeline. And 25 opportunities in the pipeline doesn't mean anything if your conversion rate is poopy. Lindsay's favorite word. We're breaking down the difference between activity metrics and outcome metrics. And then we're going to show you how to pick goals that don't just impress investors and your target audience, but actually build a business. I am Mandy McEwen, your co-host, founder, and CEO of Mod Grow Marketing and Luminetics.
And I am your other co-host, Lindsay Rios, your favorite fractional CRO and GTM leader.
Okay, so Lindsay Rios, coiner of the poopy pipeline phrase. Let's talk about what goals are important and why this often derails founders, because they end up chasing followers and vanity metrics instead of customers.
Yeah. And I think the reason why this is really important, just period, is sometimes we're chasing what I like to call like leading metrics too much versus the things that actually create a sustainable business. When people get stuck in that fallacy of what we would call the leading metrics, the vanity metrics, a lot of that has to do with like activity-based things. If it's on LinkedIn, it could be just how many reactions and comments and impressions you're getting in your content. I see this a lot with outbound, where people are more concerned about the number of emails or phone calls or outreaches in general versus how many of them were actually booked meetings. And then even booked meetings can be a slippery slope if you're not booking meetings with your ICP.
With the right people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, these are just some examples where you could do all these things in the world. Is it resulting in momentum in your business, in a healthy business? Actually having you achieve milestones in your business that indicate that you are growing, moving, and sustaining.
Yeah, and that is the very unfortunate thing that I see in so many orgs. And when I talk to individual contributors, sellers, is they literally, these leaders, they care about these numbers.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you got to hit the phones, you got to hit the emails. This is all about number. But if you're just doing that haphazardly because you have these numbers to hit and it's not with the right people, that does not drive business growth. And so I feel like we need to get out of this old school mentality for so many companies where it's just like, we need you to 150 dials in this amount of time and 100 emails. The problem is if you guys are just doing that and there's no strategic personalization and research ahead of time, et cetera, ways for you to stand out, it doesn't matter. It's not going to work. So you're better off slowing down and being super strategic about this and actually driving qualified meetings. Isn't it funny that like people are they're not even using like MQL, like people don't even use those words anymore much, like the MQLs and SQLs, like it's,
God, don't even get me started on the definition of SQLs too, because it's...
I know, but that's the thing. It's like, these are all old school measurements, right? And things have changed a lot lately, and it will continue to change.
And to really if we want to get away from the metrics and even talk about something even like more important at the end of the day, we were living in the era of growth at all costs for so long and caring about things like 2xing, 3xing, 4xing year over year growth. But then we're burning however much and the churn is, skyrocketing and who cares? And so now look at what's happened in the last 2 years is growth at all costs is like, now we're like, get out of here. No one cares about that anymore. And the people that do, we're like, that's cute for you. We'll see you never again. And now it's all about, profitability and healthy growth and sustainability, because we all want to stick around and everyone's tired of losing their jobs, but also starting to pay attention to things that are healthier and more important, because it won't matter how much revenue you ever build if you can't keep it. People like to say things like, well, I want to hit double next year in revenue. Why though? For what? Mm-hmm. And then you focus on all the wrong things, and then we get into trouble. So even if we bring it back down to some of the more tactical things we were just speaking about, I love the idea of like, yeah, meetings are great, but are they meetings that are resulting in anything afterwards that is actually movement down your pipeline? Are they meetings with the right ICPs? And what are you learning from your meetings? Are you able to iterate every time? And if we bring this back to some of our discussions in the last episodes, if we're building upon messaging and ICP and all these things, something could be as simple as week over week, am I having meetings that are resulting in increased conversion? The increased conversion is the metric I would focus on, not the number of meetings that I'm booking.
Yeah, because that's what drives revenue, right? And then where are those meetings coming from? So it's like they're with the right people, hopefully. Like we need to get you to that point where the meetings are from the right people, but then look at where are those meetings coming from? Is it from cold outreach? Is it from the phone? Is it referrals? Is it SEO? Is it our ads? Is it LinkedIn? Like where are they coming from and why? Like what resonated? Because then those are goals to double down on what you're doing, right? So what activities are actually driving the right meetings? I'm not talking about what activities are driving the most meetings. That's not what we're talking about here.
Right.
The right meetings. You can have, let's say you land 10 meetings with cold calling, and then you land 5 meetings with LinkedIn, but those 5 meetings with LinkedIn actually ended up with 3 proposals, and the 10 calls with cold call ended up with none, right? And so that's when okay, maybe I'm getting meetings, but obviously the people on LinkedIn are a little bit more qualified. Right. So you guys also have to pay attention to that, and that works into your goals. But this is all boils down to the right people. It's not just a numbers game anymore. I mean, it is a numbers game, but it's a quality numbers game now.
Right. And I think what's important about a lot of what you're saying there, to make it really, really simple, is that maybe the goals that we should be focusing on are ways to measure that's different types of quality that we can have out there. And it, again, not be so much about quantity. Obviously, when we figure out when something works, that's the best part. We can go and put more quantity into it. But I think people skip over measuring enough quality focused like metrics and get, before they get confident enough to dump a bunch of either money or time into that particular channel. There's not enough focus on I think something you talked about before is how many profile views do you get by your ICP versus just how many followers are you getting?
And the thing with LinkedIn is there's a lot of lurkers, and we'll talk about this in future episodes soon, but profile views, if you have LinkedIn Premium, if you have the free version of LinkedIn, sorry, you can't see a lot. So you're going to have to pay. You can see with LinkedIn Premium and Sales Nav, you can see everyone who's viewing your profile unless they have on private mode, unless they have it on stalker mode.
Right.
And then you can tell what is resonating, what content is resonating in with who. Because if you guys are posting a bunch of content and look at the content, look at your content analytics too. Because LinkedIn has some cool content analytics. It doesn't show you exactly who's viewing, the exact person. It's not going to say Lindsay Rios saw this post, but it will say Lindsay's title, and they'll lump her in with someone else, right? So it'll give you a bar graph of these job titles from these size of companies are viewing your content. And that also helps.
Well, and you can even see now, right? It'll say so-and-so viewed your profile after this post. To your point about lurkers, which we will talk about more later, so we won't dig in too much. But if they're your ICP, just because they're not engaging on your post, just because they're not liking it or doing something on there, it's easy to be like, this post got 1 million views, right, or impressions, and 262 comments, and you feel really excited about that, but then if you go and you look and you're barely hit any of my actual ICPs, that's fun for you, but that's not actually, any metrics that matter in the business, and they're not realistic goals to be focusing on either, unless you're trying to become an influencer. And then don't listen to this podcast. We're not for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the goal of this podcast at all.
You're not our ICP, but I just think it's important to take a step back and just look at like, what are all the more qualitative things that I could be measuring and setting goals towards that then lead me to, ultimately, again, just having a sustainable business that I also really understand. And that's the thing that people forget a lot about, I think, and especially founders, because since I coach them and I've been working with them for so long now, we get really caught up in worrying about how to look good and or growing or something like that, right? I mean, you go to the board and then you just get so worried about showing that versus maybe I'm not 2xing my growth, but I can tell you everything about my business. I understand my business. I understand that when I post as the founder about XYZ, that I gain X amount of people that are within our ICP. It helps generate X amount of meetings to our pipeline, and they have a conversion rate that is higher than when we do cold. That is, you understand your business. But people don't pay attention to those metrics as much as they pay attention to just, oh, well, we've grown our pipeline overall by this much, and we're growing our revenue by this much, and we make this, our activity is skyrocketing, and, we've been doing employee generated content, and everyone's follower count went up by, 100%. But then what?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so where does the revenue growth come into play here, or the opportunities for the ROI, and is it the right people, like you said? I mean, I've had posts, I've had a LinkedIn video that got 4 million views. I didn't get a single lead from that, and it wasn't something random. It was like, it's talking about video. It's very meta, talking about using video on LinkedIn as a video. But I've had multiple posts get a lot of traction. That doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, unless it's driving your exact ICP, and it wasn't. Like, that post didn't drive anything. Okay, it drove a lot of like awesome impressions, but it's not like I'm getting leads from that, right? Yeah. So what you said earlier, like, these things are great. I'm not downplaying the fact that you can get a video that gets 4 million impressions. That's rad. That's not something that you need to be focusing all your efforts on chasing millions of views or hundreds and thousands or 50,000 or even 20,000. It's quality over quantity. And that goes for everything. I know we're talking about LinkedIn here, but this is literally everything at every point. It's like, what is actually going to move the needle? And also, we didn't talk about this yet, but referrals. Like, making a goal to add X number of referral partners per month is huge. And we're going to talk soon in another episode about how to leverage epic referral partners.
Yeah.
But this isn't just about direct to your buyers. This is also leveraging strategic relationship.
And to just kind of button up everything we're talking about, because we got in the weeds for a reason, just honing back on to the reason why we thought this was such an important own topic to discuss is this won't change whether you're in your early days or later days, but knowing how to create goals that actually matter is insanely important to be able to sustain a business. And it is part of one of the reasons why most startups don't make it. We just have these really unrealistic goals, and sometimes they work out, and then it makes everyone else think that we should be doing the same thing. Sometimes there's intention behind it, and then sometimes there's luck, and when they're combined together, you can get those rocket ships and things like that. But now we're in a new era, and it's more about, okay, well, let's be realistic. A lot of people still don't know how to make realistic goals. One of my quote unquote viral post I ever did, I was so excited because it was actually having to do with what I do, who my ICPs were. But it was me about saying, hey, can you stop making stupid goals? I didn't say it like that, but that's really what the message was. And then what I meant by that was stop making top-down strategies to reach goals that came out of your butt, just because they sounded good. So if you have a goal, the goals probably should be more about, I would like to grow my business so that I can achieve some milestone of some sort. That could be funding. That could be just making more money for everyone. You want to hire certain people, whatever that reason is. Then instead of working backwards engineering on then all these random activity metrics essentially that you need to do to get it, thinking that that's just how it works, then go and build, what can I do? What Legos do I now build to put together that could get me to that goal that actually matter? What infrastructure? How many referral partners should I be focusing on? How many actual ICPs should we be growing within our database versus just more people in our database to market to, right? Like, and when we grow our pipeline, I don't want it to just be X amount of growth. I need it to be this exact type of growth. At the end of the day, like, that's what like we're talking about in this episode. It's like, you can't just go make a goal because you feel like it sounds good. You have to know why you want it, and then bottoms up build to it with things that are actually going to get you there versus just the vanity leading metrics.
Absolutely. And the opposite of stupid goals are smart goals. Like, this is what when I coached founders in the past, like, we literally did, I have a sheet I can give you guys if you want. You can email me. It's a SMART goal sheet, and SMART, it's S stands for specific, M is measurable, A is achievable, R is relevant, and T is time bound. And honing in on T a little bit more, some people are also thinking way too far in the future versus the present right now, or opposite. It's so simple. Like, literally, you can go Google SMART goals and just fill out a sheet and write down your goals and what we just told you, and stick to those, and don't get lost in the weeds focusing on things that don't matter.
Yeah. So that could be a tactical takeaway.
Fill out your SMART goals.
Go get some SMART goals. Or if you want it to be less structured, because some people can't focus in that way, then just go pick 3 goals you're going to do this month. Depending on when you're listening. If it's the end of the month, then do it for the next month. Whatever. Whenever you're listening to this, be for a whole month, 3 goals that are not any of the sort of activity leading kind of vanity ones we talked about, and just be more qualitative things that actually are going to matter in sustaining your business. And we gave a lot of examples.
Yep. There you have it, your tactical takeaway. So stay tuned for the next episode where we are talking about finding your people and really honing in on finding the right people.
And when we say people, no offense, we're not talking about your friends. We're talking about your ICPs.
We can't help you with finding new friends. I'm sorry, that's not our expertise.
Wrong podcast.
Okay, now go build something cool.
If you like what you hear, or at least didn't hate it, hit that follow or subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.
And if you didn't know, this is a video podcast too. So if you want to see our lovely faces, go check us out on YouTube and subscribe there.
And just like that, another business problem got a little bit clearer, because in the business world, it's not about who raises first.
It's about who lasts.